up, guys? Welcome back to another Oktoberfest beer review. This is, I believe, beer number 6, and it is out of Left Hand Brewing Company. It's the Oktoberfest Märzen Lager, with the good folks out of there. And this will take the crown for the heftiest ABV thus far for the Oktoberfest beer. This is 6.6%, and it is 24 IBUs, which is a hair higher than most of them. Usually it's like 18 to 20. So there you go. Let's see if they say anything else worthwhile, but not really, other than it's a seasonal. So let's crack this sucker open and get it pouring. Brewed on the banks of the mighty St. Vrain, according to the thing on the can. But alright, and also here's the label. I think that's pretty much what it usually is, from what I remember in years past. Anyways, let's get into the review. Get into the smell. First aroma I get is that kind of wafty funk that you get in some lagers and some pilsners. That's got that kind of funky aroma. Again, one of the better maintaining heads for the beers. There's a corn-esque sweetness to this thing, where you pick up that kind of cereal grain aspect of a lager. This one has more of that kind of corn American lager aroma to it. But there is a sweetness to it. It's a little more fruity. I'm trying to think, almost like a bit orange almost. I'm not picking up as much of the more robust, burnt, toasted maltiness to it. This is much more funky, some sweetness aspects. I guess a little more lively than earthy. But you know what? It smells a little different from the other ones I've had, so I can dig that, and it doesn't stink too bad. Too much funk is a little turn off for me, but this is enough without going overboard. So I'm going to recommend it on aroma. Let's get into the taste. There's a very pungent. It really took over my entire mouth. There's almost like what is that? Like a barley wine taste to it. It is earthy, and it does have some of that really kind of blackened crust to it. Like you had an oven pizza and you forgot about it, you fell asleep, and you woke up to like the smoke detector going off, and you still tried to eat that crust, but it had that like that overburnt crust taste. That's kind of what this has got going on. And it's weird. Instead of like kind of hitting just like different parts of my tongue, which a lot of times the malt will do, it like hit everything else, like the roof of my mouth, the whole surrounding area. It was very like a whole mouth experience with this particular taste. Can't say that's really happened with the other ones so far. Don't know if that's good, don't know if that's bad, but that's what happened. Yeah, that like burnt pizza crust. That is very prominent. There might be still a little bit of a citrus aspect to it, almost like you peel open an orange and it's like it's a little dried. That's always annoying. You peel open, you want a juicy orange, peel it open, and like there's like no moisture in it, and so it's like when you get that orange, it's like it's just a dry orange, and it's a little bitter too. That's kind of the fruity aspect going on with this thing. And there is definitely some of the smoked elements going on. It's that burnt taste is very prominent. It really floods your mouth, and I really think the burnt pizza crust is the best way I can describe it. It's the thin crust, where there's not like any salvageable surface area. It's like, no, that crust is shot. And that's really the maltiness I'm getting with this. And I feel like there needs to be something else going on with it. It's too much of that and not enough of other things going on with it. And so this is like by a hair the highest ABV Oktoberfest. I believe the Great Lakes was 6.5. It has nothing to, this taste has nothing to do with the higher alcohol content of the Oktoberfest selection. It's very burnt pizza crusty. It's like it's a little too much. It hits a little too close to home, where we've all had that burnt pizza crust where it's like, oh man, I was really hungry. Now this whole pizza sucks. It's got too much of that, and it's like flashbacks of pizza nom. So it's not really my thing. It's not doing it for me. So I'm not going to recommend it on taste. It's just I wish there were other things going on to kind of offset it and kind of distract, but it's really just that taste. It's boom right there, and that's really it. Alright, next category is value for price, and American Left Hand Brewing Company is one of the more widely available beers, although nowadays most craft beers can be purchased pretty much everywhere, unless you're one of those treehouse beers where they don't even distribute. It's like, nah, you come to us. A little annoying. But this is an easier one to find, and it's pretty inexpensive. I believe it was about $2. Pretty much all the Oktoberfest beers I bought this last time around was about $2. So I think it's a totally fair price to give one can a whirl, so I'm going to recommend it on value for price. And alright, next category is distinction. How distinct is it? I mean, the more I get into it, it does have more of almost a raisin toffee aspect in it too. So it's not all pizza crust, but it's still a little too much for me, for my enjoyment. But with that said, it is different. It's pushing some of those Oktoberfest elements. I mean, this is a full, at least 1% higher than just about every other Oktoberfest you're going to find. Out of the 6 I've had, there's been one other that's in the 6 years. There might have been one in that was 6.0, but pretty much everything is in that low to mid 5 range. So the alcohol content is higher. You don't really taste that, but the IBUs is higher. Everything is just kind of pushed higher, and so I get a little critical sometimes of safe Oktoberfest beers. They pushed it a little bit, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. They did try to tweak and kind of Americanize it a little bit, but it wasn't completely doing it for me. But in terms of distinction, it is different from most of the other Oktoberfest beers I've had. I'd say, actually, realistically, this is probably the most different of the 6 Oktoberfest beers I've had. So, in that case, I will recommend it on distinction. And, did I already do drinkability? No, I don't think so. Drinkability. Next category is drinkability. And, I mean, I don't know, maybe I feel like as it's warming up to room temperature, it's not that pizza thing kind of whatever and all that. extreme burnt is starting to mellow out a little bit. Either that or my taste buds are adjusting to it. And so it's becoming a little more, okay, this is what we're going to be bombarded with. We're going to chill out on this. But as I'm drinking it, it is becoming more drinkable. When I first cracked it open, it was just like, I'm not really a fan of this. But as I go, I'm warming up to it. I could almost go back and give it a half on taste. But I've already spoken, so I can't go back. But in terms of drinkability, I think it's fairly reasonable. Oh, I'll read what this thing says in a second. But I mean, I don't know. I think once the weather gets colder, this is more of a cold weather Oktoberfest beer with some of these things going on. It's still a little warm out, but dog is itchy apparently. But yeah, I'll recommend it for for drinkability. I'm all over the place too. So I'll recommend it on drinkability. And last category is Would I Buy It Again? And this wasn't really my thing. Again, I appreciate them pushing the envelope for its particular flavors. I could have used a little more rounded, well-rounded flavor profile. It was very kind of one-sided in that extreme toasted pizza crusty thing. It was very that-sided. I could have used a little more things going on. Maybe another kind of sweetness to mellow that out, kind of like smooth it down a little bit. I could have gone for that. But, what are you going to do? So, for this year, for 2021, I will not be buying Oktoberfest. Left-handed brewing company's Oktoberfest again. Alright, the little blurb right here, it said, toasted biscuity malt, balanced by spiced noble hops. I mean, pretty much any Oktoberfest beer is going to have noble hops, with a clean lager finish. Yeah, I think all that's pretty self-explanatory. I think I went a little further in the description, away from the biscuity malt. But yeah, I think for all in all, it kind of, that's pretty much what you get on the labeling. But so yeah, what do you think? I got a weird light thing going on. What do you think? Have you had the 2021 version of this yet? Did you find that it's different from the other previous years? I lose track of who maintains the same recipe and who tweaks it. I almost wish they'd say, like, same recipe as last year, but, then you'd be like, oh, then I don't need to get it. But, I don't know. It's got the same can as they've been using. So, anyways, that is my review of Left-Handed Brewing Company's Oktoberfest Märzen Lager. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And so for now, for myself, Left-Handed Brewing Company, take it easy.